Nocturne City, Episode 1 The Missing 3 Seconds. Nocturne City looks clean from a distance. From the air, the skyline is all glass teeth and neon arteries, advert screens stitched to towers like skin grafts, drones moving in disciplined swarms, traffic flowing on stacked rails like blood through a transparent vein. Up close, it's wet concrete, ozone, old cooking oil, cheap synth perfume, trying to drown out the metallic stink of rain on power lines. It's the hiss of the street vents, exhaling warmth that doesn't belong to anybody. It's always the same sound, no matter which district you stand in. A low, constant hum, like the whole city is holding its breath. I was under the high spire when the call came in. Not the pretty part, where tourists take holographic selfies and pretend the city's a theme park. I was down in the tendon and cartilage, service corridors and drain tunnels, where the spire's money gets fed from the bones of the underline. My boots hit shallow water with each step. My coat hung heavy with the rain. I couldn't seem to shake it off. A strip of UV tape was wrapped around my left wrist. Standard for licensed work. Not for vampires, though. For me. My collar lens flickered as it adjusted. The heads-up display painted clean lines over filth. Corridor dimensions, heat signatures, airflow. A soft, steady pulse in the corner. The bioscan reading my own stats like I was an open file.
Pulse, stable. Temp, normal. Venom reaction, none detected.
That last line always made me smile a little. Liar.
Hunter Harrow, status check.
I pressed 2 fingers to the throat mic. A minute, 5 minutes.
Copy. Don't freelance.
Never do. I did sometimes, but not tonight. Tonight was a low-level retrieval contract. The kind of job they hand you when they want you busy and quiet. When civic authority has bigger fires and the blood concord is breathing down someone's neck. A shape moved at the far end of the corridor. Not human, not vampire. It skittered the way panic skitters. Fast, low, and wrong, like it didn't trust its own legs. My lens tagged it with a red outline.
Venom leech, juvenile. Bio, unstable. Risk, moderate. Recommendation, capture, do not kill.
The thing had a slick body like wet rubber stretched over bones, a mouth that opened too wide, tiny filament feelers that twitched as it tasted the air. Venom leeches weren't vampires. They were what happened when the city tried to manufacture blood like it was fuel. Synthetic blood doesn't sit right in the body. It never has. It thins venom, makes it twitchy, makes people twitchy. And when enough of it gets dumped into the ecosystem, nature does what it does best. It adapts. The leech dragged itself backward, realizing it had been spotted. Its feelers snapped toward my body heat. I didn't rush. No dramatic sprint. No hero nonsense. I unclipped my analyzer from my belt. Black rectangle, thin as a phone, expensive as a small apartment. It hummed when it woke up, a subtle vibration that crawled into my palm. The leech hissed and tried to climb the wall. I popped a canister off my harness and rolled it underhand. It hit the water and split open with a soft pfft. That cold mist spilled out, somewhere between smoke and fog, but thicker. It's a counter-venom aerosol. tuned to disrupt unstable strains and make anything venom-based feel like it was drowning in sand. The leech convulsed mid-climb, limbs shaking. It slid down the wall and hit the water with a wet slap. I walked up slow and steady, letting it waste its strength. You picked the wrong pipe. When I got close enough, I flicked my wrist. The blade snapped out, short, matte gray, edged, treated with anticoagulant compound hunters called cold iron, even though it wasn't iron. It was meant to ruin the chemistry of blood and venom alike. It didn't kill fast. It killed clean. But my contract wasn't to kill. I kept the blade low, not threatening. I reached for the mesh bag clipped to my hip, venom-resistant weave threaded with sensor filaments. The bag itself was a cage. The leech lunged anyway. It hit the mouth of the bag, and I yanked it shut. The mesh tightened, constricting around its body. It screamed high and thin, and the sound echoed through the corridor like something crying inside a metal lung. Then it stopped moving.
Capture confirmed. Bio stabilized. Contract complete.
I exhaled through my nose. One job done, another 1,000 waiting. That was Nocturne City. If you wanted peace, you didn't live here. You visited briefly. I started walking back toward the access ladder. That's when my comm lit up again. This time, not a dispatcher's calm voice. This time it was a tone I only heard when the city wanted something from me right now. Priority. I paused at the base of the ladder and answered. This is Haro.
Michael Haro. License Hunter ID verified. You're being redirected.
I'm on a return route.
You're on a new route.
My HUD flashed a file request. I accepted it. A case packet bloomed across my vision. Photos, timestamps, sensor data, and a bold line at the top.
Crimson crime, wrongful turning. Open investigation. Subject, Riley Park. Status, missing. Directive, recover alive.
I stared at the name long enough to feel my pulse shift. Wrongful turning. That wasn't a street crime. That wasn't a back alley feeding gone too far. That was a breach of the pillars. That was the kind of thing that made vampires and humans stop pretending they were civilized. Who authorized this?
The Concord is cooperating.
What's the timeline?
8 hours.
That's not a lot.
It's enough if you move.
My mouth went dry. Not from fear. From the way my body reacted to the word turning. Like some old memory under my skin had just sat up and opened its eyes. Send me the location.
You'll receive a meet point. Bring the full kit.
I started up the ladder, hand over hand, boots scraping metal. Above me, the city's hum got louder, like it was leaning in. The meet point was a civic authority annex on the border between the Underline and the Red Quarters. One of those buildings that pretends it's not a fortress until you try to walk in without permission. They sat me in a small room with a glass wall. Not an interrogation room, not exactly. A review room. A hollow projector on the table spun up a 3D image of a young man's face, late teens, maybe early 20s. Dark hair, tired eyes, the kind of face you see 1,000 times in the city. Not helpless, just worn thin. Riley Park. A woman in a gray suit stood on the other side of the table, tablet in hand, director level. Her nameplate read, Keller.
Michael Haro, thank you for responding.
I didn't have a choice. Her expression didn't change.
You always have choices. You simply make consistent ones.
She swiped her tablet and the hollow changed. Grainy stills from a security feed. Riley stumbling, a shadow behind him. Then Riley on the ground, someone kneeling beside him, hand at his throat. Then, static. The footage ended. How long was the outage?
3 seconds.
I felt my jaw tighten. 3 seconds was the city's favorite number. Just long enough for something to happen. Just short enough for everyone to argue about what it was. Any idea who did it?
Unknown. We have spectral residue consistent with a venom transfer. Family signature is unclear.
Unclear isn't a word you like to use.
It's the word the machines gave us.
She pushed a small data chip across the table.
You'll have access to the scene scan, the corridor map, and Riley Park's last known route.
What about the Concorde?
They are monitoring.
Translation. They were breathing down her neck.
Directive is alive, no matter what he is now.
Now? Keller paused.
He has not presented, no feeding recorded, no hospital missions, no corpse.
So he's out there, newly turned, confused, hungry, and somehow not dead?
Yes.
I leaned back in the chair. Why me? She didn't answer right away. She considered me the way a person considers a tool. Useful, dangerous, slightly defective.
Because you can get close to them.
Close to who? The hollow shifted to a list. Blood families, lineages, known venom signatures. And at the bottom, grayed out like a rumor. Null family. Extinct, unverified. Keller's voice dropped half a degree.
Our scanners flagged the residue with an error we haven't seen in years.
What kind of error? She slid the tablet so I could read it.
Spectral output, null adjacent. Confidence, 12%. System note, signature fractured. Partial immunity detected.
My blood went cold. Where's the scene? She gave me the address. Then she said the part that made everything heavier.
The Blood Concorde has requested you identify the culprit.
I let out a humorous laugh. Requested? Keller's mouth tightened.
Insisted. They're calling it a quiet emergency. If this spreads, we'll have another riot.
Riots. Everybody in the room avoided saying the words, but we all heard them anyway. I stood. I'm going, but I need a driver. Keller blinked once.
A driver?
I need Antonio Reyes. Her expression turned into a question.
That's not standard.
Neither is this. Keller studied me, then nodded.
Fine, but keep him off record.
Yeah, that's kind of his whole personality. Antonio showed up 10 minutes later like he'd been waiting outside the building just to prove a point. He walked in wearing a jacket that pretended it was casual, but had hidden holsters in all the right places. Hair slightly messy like he'd styled it that way on purpose. Eyes bright, always bright, even when the city was trying to grind you down. He saw me and grinned.
Mikey,
Don't. He grinned wider.
you look like you got invited to a funeral.
I did. For the city.
That bad?
I handed him the data chip. Antonio's grin faded as he skimmed the file on his own wrist screen. His eyes moved faster than most people's. When he hit wrongful turning, his jaw flexed.
Oof.
Then louder.
Okay, so what? We're saving a kid from becoming a political incident?
Recover alive. Antonio looked up.
Alive's good. Life's good. Alive means options.
I nodded. That's why I called you. He tried to act calm. His fingers tapped his thigh. That tapping meant he was worried.
Concord evolved.
Monitoring. Antonio made a face.
Monitoring is vampire for if you screw it up, we'll eat you on camera.
That's about right. He nodded, then shrugged like he was brushing off the weight.
I'm just saying. You sure you want to be the one holding this kid's leash?
I stared at the hollow stills, Riley on the floor, Riley's face blurred. I saw a flicker of my own past in it. I don't want to, but I'm the one they picked. Antonio's eyes softened.
Yeah, I know.
We drove into the rain. Nocturne City at night always looked like it was bleeding neon. Antonio's car was an old model, Legal, registered, unremarkable. Perfect.
Seen as a corridor in the red quarters. Courier route.
Yeah. He knew the maze. Antonio shook his head.
Couriers don't just know the maze. They live in it.
That's why he's still alive. If he's alive. Antonio shot me a look.
He's alive.
You don't know that. Antonio shrugged.
No, but I believe it. And I'm right more often than you think.
We reached the scene at a service entrance tucked behind a closed nightclub. A civic authority tech waited by the door. Credentials. We flashed them. He let us in. The corridor inside was narrow, industrial, damp, with cameras lined to the ceiling. Half dead, half pretending. A smear on the wall caught my eye. Not blood. Not exactly. Crystallized residue shimmering when I angled my lens. My analyzer chirped.
Trace detected. Venom compound. Family signature? Error.
I swiped again. Same thing. Antonio leaned in.
What's it saying?
It's not saying, it's choking. Antonio deadpanned.
That's comforting.
I plugged into the panel. The footage played. Riley walking fast, hoodie up, courier bag over one shoulder, and a shadow behind him. Riley turned, a hand reached out. Then, static for 3 seconds. Then Riley was on the floor, shaking, and the corridor was empty. My throat tightened. Antonio muttered.
3 seconds. Always 3 seconds.
I rewound, slowed, and enhanced. On the last frame before the cut, a reflection in a puddle, something tall was leaning over him. Not a face, a shape. And the outline didn't match the light, like it wasn't fully there. Antonio lowered his voice.
Michael, you good?
Yeah. He didn't buy it. I looked away anyway, giving me privacy without distance. I stepped back from the panel. We need an informant. Antonio sighed.
We do.
Yes, he already knew who I meant.
Him.
Yeah, him. The Red Quarters had a way of making everything feel staged. We didn't go into the nightclub. We went next door. Into a lounge with no sign and a door you only found if you knew where to put your palm. Antonio muttered.
I hate places with secret doors.
Then stopped living in Nocturne City. Inside, the air was velvet, perfume and quiet laughter. Cassian Vey sat in the corner in a chair that looked too old to belong here. Dark coat, crisp shirt, rings that looked like they had stories. His eyes found me immediately. He smiled, not warm, not cruel, just knowing.
Michael, you have come with the scent of trouble on you.
Antonio muttered, horrified.
Oh my God.
Cassian's eyes flicked to him.
Antonio Reyes, still alive. How modern.
Antonio threw his hands up slightly.
Hey, I'm just saying I'm standing right here.
Cassian's smile deepened.
Yes, you're always saying.
I didn't sit. I need information. Cassian lifted a brow.
No greeting, no pleasantry. The city has made you rude.
The city made me practical. Wrongful turning, Riley Park. Cassian's eyes expression sharpened.
Ah, so it begins.
Antonio stiffened.
What begins?
Cassian leaned forward, hands steepled.
A question, my dear Antonio. A question that will grow teeth.
I didn't blink. What do you know? Cassian's gaze stayed on me.
I know the Concord is afraid. I know the houses are curious. I know the civic authority pretends it controls the streets.
He paused.
And I know that when a young man is turned improperly, he becomes a candle in a windstorm, flickering, dangerous, easy to snuff, easier to weaponize.
I felt my patience tighten. Cassian. He smiled like my tone amused him.
You want a name? A culprit? A family?
Yes. Cassian's fingers tapped the arm of his chair.
I cannot give you certainty, but I can give you this. The residue you carry on your clothes, it is not clean.
Antonio blinked.
Hey, you can smell that?
Cassian looked delighted.
My dear boy, I can smell your fear and your poor choice of cologne.
Antonio looked down, offended. Cassian's eyes returned to me.
The signature is fractured, not fully stamped, not fully sealed.
My mouth went dry.
Like an interrupted turning.
Antonio's eyes snapped to me. I didn't move. Cassian watched me watch him.
Tell me, Michael, does this case feel familiar?
My hand tightened on the table's edge. Where would Riley go? Cassian's eyes flicked toward the ceiling.
Not upward, not too high spire, too bright, too watched.
He looked back.
He will go where he can move unseen, where he already knows the rhythm.
Antonio murmured.
Service corridors?
Cassian smiled.
Yes. The veins.
I nodded once. Cassian's voice softened.
Bring him back alive, Michael.
I plan to. Cassian held my gaze.
A frightened newborn is not your enemy.
Then Cold Silk.
But the one who made him, that one is.